This 16th century map shows corruption spanning from the Catholic West to the Orthodox East. In the West, princes and kings broke Rome's monopoly, triggering the Reformation and splintering the map. Yet eastward, despite identical decay, these vast borders remained static. No reform took hold. Early Protestant leaders assumed they had found natural allies. In the mid-1500s, theologians from Germany reached out to the Patriarch of Constantinople, sending Greek translations of their core beliefs. They expected a partnership against their mutual opponent in Rome. Instead, Constantinople met them with silence, and later, outright rejection. The Orthodox Church looked at a movement actively fighting the Pope and refused to join. To understand why, we have to look past the shared corruption and examine how they viewed the foundations of Christianity itself. The Protestant movement relied on a doctrine known as sola scriptura. They demanded that Christians rely solely on the Bible for truth. This meant discarding centuries of church traditions, councils, and non-scriptural writings as unnecessary authority. Orthodox believers viewed these traditions as essential. To them, the writings of early church fathers and the decisions of historical councils were scripture-based pillars of the faith, built by the very communities that first preserved the Bible. This clash became especially acute over the treatment of saints and the Virgin Mary. Protestants condemned the Catholic and Orthodox practices of venerating these figures as borderline idolatry. But for Eastern Christians, icons like this depiction of the Virgin Mary were central to their faith. Saints acted as essential daily intermediaries, connecting the average faithful directly to God. It was a practice as old as the Church itself. For the average Orthodox believer, removing these traditions was an assault on their daily experience of God, stripping away the very elements that defined their spiritual lives. Beyond daily practice, the two sides operated on entirely different structural blueprints. The Western Reformation focused its energy on toppling a single universal office, the Pope in Rome. The East had no Orthodox Pope to overthrow. Instead of a rigid top-down pyramid, Eastern Christianity was a flat, decentralized network. Power was shared across 5 equal nodes: Alexandria, Antioch, Constantinople, Jerusalem, and originally Rome. The Orthodox Church didn't view the Bishop of Rome as an illegitimate office. The issue was that Rome had elevated itself above the other bishops and claimed universal supremacy. The East simply wanted Rome to return to its equal place alongside the other 4 regions. Because there was no single supreme office governing every Orthodox church, there was no single target to collapse. The Protestant strategy of a centralized anti-papal revolution could not function within the decentralized architecture of the East. The Reformation also required political muscle to survive. In Western Europe, kings and quinces recognized Protestantism as an effective tool. It gave them the justification to seize church estates and eliminate Rome's political influence over their lands. Monarchs like Henry VIII embraced the movement specifically to consolidate power. By breaking with Rome over the annulment of his marriage, Henry absorbed the Pope's religious authority and declared himself the supreme head of the Church within his domain. Orthodox monarchs like Tsar Ivan IV of Russia already wielded the exact control Western kings were fighting for. He held the authority to appoint and dismiss leading church figures, treating the Church as a unifying tool for his empire, without answering to a foreign pope. Ivan closely monitored the religious wars tearing through Western Europe and arrived at a harsh conclusion. He viewed Protestantism as a dangerous contagion of radicalism. To him, its rejection of tradition invited peasant revolts and deep political instability. The political incentives in the 2 halves of Europe were entirely inverted. While Western rulers armed and funded the Reformation to expand their own power, Eastern rulers stood as its most heavily armed opponents. There was exactly one serious attempt to introduce Protestantism into the Eastern Church. In the 1620s, Patriarch Cyril Lucaris of Constantinople published a confession of faith heavily influenced by Calvinist theology, including concepts like predestination. The institutional backlash was immediate and severe. Orthodox Christians viewed this attempt to merge their faith with Protestant ideas as outright heresy. Lucaris was violently rejected, repeatedly deposed, and ultimately executed. To ensure this never happened again, the Orthodox Church convened the Synod of Jerusalem in 1672. Here, Eastern bishops officially and permanently condemned core Protestant doctrines like sola scriptura, while reaffirming their own traditions. Despite a mutual distrust of papal authority, the two factions were too alien in their theology, their daily practices, and their political structures to ever forge an alliance. The Reformation was a specific Western solution to a Western institutional crisis. Because the Eastern Church lacked a single pope to topple and relied on tradition as a primary source of truth, the Protestant movement found no purchase in the Orthodox East.